All right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back to another live stream. I haven't done one of these in a while now, but I wanted to talk about today about a topic that I've been thinking about for some time. Really, I want to advance the case for something that I've kind of believed for a very long time now. By a long time, I mean like a few months. And I am gonna do it in a live stream format for a couple reasons. Number one, because I think the format is better suited to what I'm trying to do here. I think kind of a more unfiltered, unscripted sort of format is the best format that I can deliver this in. And the second reason is that if anybody would like to join and give their own comments on my claims or um, anything else they want to add, sort of related to the topic at hand, they are more than welcome to do so. The link to join is in the description of the video of the stream. I'm also going to go ahead and put it in the chat for anybody who doesn't want to look there and would rather just join that way. So it should have been sent. Yep, it looks like it's sent. Now I am going to view this stream on another device just to make sure that everything is working right, and then we'll go ahead and get into the topic here. Just give me a second, guys. All right, let's see. All right. It looks like my mic volume might be a little bit too low, though. Um, Never mind. Never mind. No, it's not. It's fine. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the topic here. So if you've seen the title of the stream, which I'm sure you have, you know what we're talking about here. We're talking about the death of the MAGA movement. Now, realistically speaking, you could pinpoint this event, this death of the movement, to some point in the summer. If you wanted to be generous, you could date it to um, sometime between September and December. But I think honestly that recent events, as in like literally events from 2 days ago, and everything that's happened since then, I think those events are the defining moment, the definitive sort of nail in the coffin for the MAGA movement. And why do I say that? Because if you are not aware, within the last 48 hours, we have initiated a bombing camp. Well, it was an operation. What it was an operation that lasted for I think about an hour or two, wherein we flew hundreds of military jets over the capital of Venezuela. We bombed their capital. I think we bombed the tomb of one of their former presidents. Although I think that's disputed. I'm not actually sure if that happened or not. People say that didn't happen. But actually, I'm pretty sure it's been well established that that it did happen. So that's kind of crazy. That's just kind of a footnote here. But the point is, we launched a bombing operation over the capital of Venezuela so that we could extract their president, Nicolas Maduro. We sent in some special operatives, and we used the bombing raid, as a distraction so that we could cause some chaos, and the operatives could move in and capture the president of Venezuela and fly him back to the U.S. so that he could be tried for weapons possession and I think a couple other charges. But the whole thing is just ridiculous. The whole thing is absolutely just, I mean, pardon my language, but retarded. Let's just be honest with ourselves. And I don't really see a reason why we needed to do this. Now, the predictable response is and has been that, oh, this is a communist dictator. This is somebody who put his own people into misery and caused refugee crises and et cetera, et cetera. But here's the thing, right? I don't think that alone necessarily justifies us having to do what is essentially a regime change operation. This is a regime change operation. This is basically one of similar, basically the same to what we did in Iraq. If you know that history, technically, I don't even know if you'd count it as history since it's super recent. It happened this century. Um, but this is a regime change playbook, and the reason this matters and is relevant to the whole MAGA question is because this was something that we had sworn off. Um, Particularly something that the president himself had campaigned against, said we were not doing, um, said we were done with that strategy because it didn't produce anything good. It never has. Um, and it gets worse. It gets worse than just that operation. If it had just been that alone, I suppose, I mean, it'd still be problematic. I oppose, on principle, doing regime change operations on behalf of foreigners. Because one of the other responses that we're getting to this, like one of the copes on the right wing, that is being used to justify this, is like, oh, well, the Venezuelans are happy about this. And I don't know. I don't even know if that's true because it seems to be that all the footage to back this up is coming out of America, out of Florida. But even if this were true, right, I don't really see how that matters. I think that's a self defeating claim to make if you claim to be America first. Because here's the thing, right? Does the American government exist to serve the American people or not? That's what we need to. That's the question, and the question, the answer to it, rather, on the side of the MAGA people and on the side of the president himself and his campaign was, yeah, it's supposed to exist to serve the interests of the American people, and that's why we can justify doing things like mass deportations, which I'll talk about in a second, how much of a failure that has been. Unfortunately, we are not getting exactly mass deportations. I think the estimates are like 300 to 600,000. That's not mass. We let in millions over the course of 4 years. I believe that the lowest estimate is like 15 million, how much illegal immigration we allowed in during Biden's term. So that's why we can justify things like mass deportations and trying to reshore certain firms and stuff like that so that we could have a better advantage in global trade. That's why we could justify doing things like that, and that's the kind of stuff that the president ran on. And this particular operation, I would not say is in the interests of Americans and the American people. I just would not say that. And the fact that foreigners are happy that we're doing their bidding and we're, intervening on behalf of their causes, that's actually the antithesis of what the movement is supposed to be for. Like the fact that foreigners are happy about this, whether it's true or not, let's just grant that the idea for the sake of argument, that's actually bad. That's actually not good. We're not here. The government is not supposed to be here and is not supposed to exist to serve the interest of foreign powers. If foreigners are happy about actions that the American government is taking um, in foreign nations and for foreign nations to serve foreign interests, that means, and it's a very strong indicator at least, doesn't necessarily, logically have to mean, it's not out of necessity, but it is a strong indicator that the American government is not actually serving the interests of the American people. If the only people who are cheering this on are like foreigners, Venezuelans, and nothing necessarily against those people, but there's no reason that we should be serving their interests. Okay, so not only that, I mean, we need to oppose this on principle, but it actually gets worse. So here I have some stories from antiwar.com. Antiwar.com, by the way, is an excellent news source. Antiwar.com is great for people who want to keep up to date from the perspective of a whole bunch of different people, actually. This is a libertarian website, right-wing libertarian founded website. It existed to advance sort of libertarian arguments, but they allow other kinds of voices to put viewpoints and do news coverage, and so for that reason, I would say it's pretty unbiased, despite what something like Wikipedia is going to tell you. So here we have some news from antiwar.com. We have 3 stories to go through. We have, quote, Trump, we are in Venezuela now and we are going to stay. Okay, and the article says, quote, following a military operation that captured President Nicolas Maduro, President Donald Trump said the U.S. would run Venezuela until an acceptable government is set up. So, what this sounds like a lot to me? This sounds like we're going to be doing nation building in Venezuela, and I hope that's not what we're doing, because the strategy of regime change and nation building never seems to pan out. Look at what happened in Afghanistan, for example. It just doesn't quite pan out for us. Now, it says, we are going to run Venezuela until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. We don't want to be involved with somebody else, get in, and have the same situation that we had. So what he's referring to there is that he doesn't want another communist dictator to come to power again, and then we have the same problem, because allegedly one of the reasons that we ousted Mr. Maduro was because of a number of reasons, one of which being his ideological affiliation. The official justification is also something to do with drug trafficking, narcotics, and weapons possession, just like a bunch of stuff like that. I don't think anyone really buys that's the reason we're doing this, because if drug trafficking was the issue, we'd be at war with Mexico. But it's just the principle of this whole thing. It's just absurd. It's ridiculous. So what we're doing is we're going to topple a head of state. We're doing a coup. Not even that, because it's not even like we're sponsoring coups. We are the nation that authorized this and actually sent our military over and just did the regime change ourselves. We didn't even like sponsor elements from within the country. I believe that was the strategy before. Now, again, like I said, like this was supposed to be everything that we were against. This is supposed to be, the peace president, the no new wars guy, right? And look how that turned out. I mean, as if bombing Iran wasn't bad enough. Now we have that problem. Now we have this problem to deal with. It says, quote, the president said on Saturday, we are there now and we are going to stay until, hold on, I think. Or no, until the proper transition takes place. Yeah, I'm reading this correctly. Trump went on to say that the U.S. is prepared to attack Venezuela again. So here's, yeah, real America first, foreign and domestic policy. It's supposed to be a domestic movement to solve domestic problems, and this is what we're getting instead. We're getting foreign interventions and running the country until we deem it necessary to leave, which God knows when that's going to be. We are ready to stage a second, much larger attack if we need to do so. He continued, all political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them. And it will happen to them if they are not fair. But it gets worse, guys. Just get ready. The president did not name a new leader of Venezuela. However, Maria Corina Machado said today, we are prepared to enforce our mandate and take power. This is a lady, by the way, that I've never heard of. I don't think anybody had ever heard of her before. She apparently won the Nobel Peace Prize last year somehow. And yet she supports the bombing of her country. Because she spoke out in support of this. Machado is a Venezuelan opposition figure who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2025. She has endorsed U.S. sanctions and military action against Venezuela. Trump did say he had not spoken with Machado, adding that she doesn't have the respect needed to lead the country. That's devastating. Just imagine, trying to position yourself to take over and trying to get the blessing basically of the United States government, and you're just not getting it. That's just must suck. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez said following the attack that she had activated Maduro's military plans. The first thing President Maduro told the people of Venezuela was people to the streets activated as militia activate all the nation's comprehensive defense plans. The vice president said, no one will undermine the historic legacy of our liberator, Father Simon Bolivar. The people of Venezuela in perfect national unity must mobilize to defend their natural resources and what is most sacred, their right to independence and to the future. Trump claimed his administration spoke with Rodriguez, who agreed to work with the U.S. When asked by the press, Trump refused to give a timeline on how long American control over Venezuela would last. Yay! Yay! We're gonna run the place. Great idea. Real America first, bruh. The last president said Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth would act as the viceroys of Venezuela. Trump added that he was willing to deploy American troops to occupy the South American nation. Okay, so that's basically, it's literally just a war. He's threatening to start wars, okay? And this is not the first time that he's been threatening to start wars in even just the last few days, okay? Even since the beginning of the year, and we're only 5 days in, and he's threatening to do wars. He said, quote, we're not afraid of boots on the ground, the president explained. He claimed Washington would pay for the occupation of Venezuela with profits from the country's oil. Trump said no Americans were killed and no military equipment was lost in the operation that captured Maduro, early Saturday. Caracas has not reported on the Venezuelan casualties from the American raid and strikes. Trump said he ordered the attack in Venezuela because Maduro was trafficking narcotics to the U.S., hosting Washington's adversaries, and stealing American oil. Venezuela is not a major drug trafficking hub and is not listed by the Drug Enforcement Agency as responsible for fentanyl entering the U.S. The President Rubio suggested a similar operation could take place in Cuba. Yeah, in Cuba. Are you serious? Okay, so we're threatening to do regime changes and wars all over the place. Okay, and we're even doing this in the Middle East. We have another story here. The headline says, quote, Israeli officials use U.S. Venezuela attack to threaten Iran. Now, despite what the headline says, this actually isn't very much about Israel. It's actually more about the U.S. So it starts off by saying that the Prime Minister of Israel is using this as an opportunity to issue threats to Iran. But what was the U.S. response? So let's go down. Okay, so this is the relevant part right here. The U.S. assault on Caracas came after President Trump appeared to threaten war with Iran over the protests taking place inside the country. If Iran shot and violently kills peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the United States of America will come to their rescue, Trump wrote on Truth Social on Friday. We are locked and loaded and ready to go. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The Speaker of Iran's parliament responded to Trump's threat by warning that if the U.S. attacks U.S. troops in the region would be targeted. Moreover, the disrespectful President of America should also know that with this official admission, all American centers and forces across the region will be legitimate targets for us. In response to any potential adventurism, Iranians have always been united and determined to act in the face of an aggressor enemy. Trump has also threatened to attack Iran again if it continues its conventional missile program or if it rebuilds its nuclear facilities that were bombed in what is now known as the 12-Day War. All right. So, yay! We're fighting. We're threatening to fight like Middle Eastern countries at the behest of the genocidal rogue state of Israel. And this is America first, guys. And this is the reason why I say that MAGA is dead. MAGA is dead because our policies are not domestic. In other words, they're not, focused inward. And they're not focused on the well-being of America, of the people who live here, of restoring any sense of sanity to the country. No, we're focused on wars in Latin America and the Middle East that we don't need to be in, that on principle everybody should be opposing. Okay, because if foreign agents and foreign operatives and foreigners are celebrating these actions, you can kind of see this as a telltale sign that this is not in America's interest, because I understand why the Venezuelans would be happy about this. Okay, I understand it because from their point of view, they just had a tyrant get deposed by the United States, and so because of that, they'd be happy. But again, that's because it's their home, it's their country, not ours. Okay. So while he's out doing that, ICE is barely managing to get 300,000 to 600,000. I think 300,000 is the lowest estimate. 600,000 is the high estimate. So there's probably somewhere in the middle. That's not mass deportation. that's not mass deportation. So we have that, and that's why, like, if you're still on this train, this MAGA train, this particularly on the Trump supporting train, because that was pretty. He has a pretty strong, like, I don't want to use cult pejoratively here, um, but it is like a cult of personality in a sense. Just because if you look at how strong the support is, and how willing these people who support him, like, in a diehard way, in a way that's just like unqualified, unchecked, unbridled support. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. Just how far they're willing to go. Now they're willing to accept like Bush era strategies that we would have never accepted if it came from the opposition, if it came from the left. And actually, um, a lot of people don't know this, but this is actually a Biden era policy that Trump is completing. And what I mean by that is that Biden wanted to depose Maduro. Biden at least wanted him out. Um, Biden wanted to do an intervention. In fact, one of the ways that Biden used to attack Trump is by saying that he was collaborating with Maduro, that he was on his side, that he was not tough on him. And so this was a Biden era. I wouldn't say policy, because I don't think they like went out and authorized raids and even planned them. But this is something that Democrats would have wanted. And now, of course, they don't support it. They don't support this act right now, despite the fact that they would have supported it under Biden, just because, they're motivated by. No, they're not motivated by anything intellectual. They're not motivated by ideas. The Democrats are just motivated by pure just hatred of what anything the right does, any figure on the right, especially Trump. So they're not intelligent. They're not coherent. The real opposition, the real intellectual, the real intelligent opposition that is motivated actually by principles on the right, as usual, because the Democrats, like, for all, as much as they cry about the Constitution being violated and international law and all those things, they don't actually care about that at all, and everyone should know that by this point. So everything that they're saying is just pure, like, contrarianism. They don't have any actual principles. They don't have any good ideas. They don't have a real reason to oppose this. They wouldn't oppose it if it had been perpetrated by their side. So just letting everybody know. I'm sure you know that already, though. So we have that. I believe we have one more headline here. All right. Yep, we do. So this headline says Trump threatens Venezuela's acting president with, quote, fate worse than Maduro's. All right, man. Why are we doing this? Why? What is this? There's just this just keeps getting worse, man. Oh shoot! Hold on. We have somebody in the in the stage that I don't know how long he has been there, but I'm gonna add him. I think it's IGA actually. Yo, you're on stage, bro.
Hey, MAGA, let's debate.
Bad, bro.
Bet.
Bad. So what's your contention against me?
My contention against you is that you just can't predicate without a logical substrate.
That's cute.
I was thinking about like recycling some like liberal argument or like some like democratic argument and using it, but I don't know any of them.
You don't know any of them?
No, not with regards to this topic. No, I don't. Because I have seen some legalists who are trying to make the argument that like international like law codes were like violated, but I wouldn't know anything about that.
Well, I mean, that's probably true. Now, like, with the whole international law critique, I don't really think that holds water because I don't think that, like, international law is necessarily, like, authoritative and binding on, like, people who don't, or nations, really, in this case, that don't want to follow it. Like, the U.S. breaks international law all the time.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
it doesn't have, like, when I say international law doesn't mean anything, I'm not saying that it doesn't have any, like,
bad like
philosophy
it
behind
doesn't
it.
have it doesn't have
That there's no
principle.
reason why we should, like, I'm not saying disregard the notions of justice. I'm just saying it doesn't have any force. It doesn't have any force because the people who are supposed to enforce it routinely break it. So
yeah, I mean look at Israel, right? I mean,
yeah, and like the entire UN, I think, for the most part, has basically said, "Hey, these guys are committing a genocide, flagrantly violating international law,
yeah,
and
just
nothing is
blatantly just violating it.
yeah, blatantly out in the open. Obviously, I mean, on this same site that I'm using, antiwar.com, there was a story of, like, they're suspending aid organizations. They're saying you guys are not going to be allowed to operate here anymore.
Yep.
So, like, this is obviously a violation, and yet they're facing no repercussions because the United States is behind them, which is another problem.
Of course, yeah.
Which is another problem with, and just goes to sort of advance my case that this entire movement is dead, because how exactly is it America First, MAGA, whatever, to continue to support this? Like, number one, why are we funding it?
Right. Yeah. That's. I mean,
that's not America First at all.
No, it's really not. I mean, that reminds me of this. There was this one debate, and I'm telling you this because it was my sophomore year of high school, and there was a debate club, and I don't know, I chose like some topic like death penalty or whatever. I like farmed on that. And there's a person in my class. We were pretty cool, and he's more the political guy, and he chose a topic. Should we give aid to foreign countries? And he picked the negative position, and he absolutely farmed the guy picking the affirmative position. Oh, I think he got seized.
I'm back.
Okay, good. Yeah, so the guy picked the negative position, and he farmed with the negative position. I think the negative position is way stronger, especially considering what the movement was built to do in its original stage. And what it's doing now, there's a clear-cut contrast.
Massive difference. I mean, like, in 2016 and 2015, when the movement popped up and started making waves, like, the messaging was entirely different. I mean, he literally, I think, was on a debate with Jeb Bush, like one of the Bushes, and said, yeah, the policies that you guys have been pushing are a complete disaster. We're not doing that anymore. And yeah, we are doing that. Actually,
yeah, we're doing exactly that.
We're doing literally the exact same thing, just in different places. We're trying to, and now we're just literally threatening to go everywhere, and do regime change and nation build everywhere. Cuba, Venezuela, Iran. Like, come on, man.
Bro,
there's no reason to be doing this. And if you support this, and you're still on this train, I don't even know what to say to you. I think, like, your brain is just fried. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, what is it? What is your rationale? Can you make a coherent argument? Forget even like a good, solid argument. Like, just a coherent argument. Can you do it? Because I don't see it. and I've seen people try to advance all number of arguments like, oh, the Venezuelans are happy. Yeah, that's kind of the problem.
Forget that. Forget that. Liberals. I need premise one. You know what? We should make a shirt. We should make a shirt. We should make merchandise. I need premise one. What's premise one?
What is premise one?
What is premise one? You know, like, because I remember very vaguely, of course, in like 2016 when the movement was popping off, it was transmitted a completely different framework for how to, make how to make the United States, like how to adopt, like what policies to adopt, what methodology those policies do, what do they do, just generally. There's so much different about that. And now, he said, I remember we were watching the Trump-Harris debate, and I remember Trump said something to the effect of, I could get on the phone and end the Israeli war. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing now? What is this?
I could get on the phone and end the Israeli war. Well, did that happen for this guy? He was going around being like, I can end it was either Ukraine or Gaza in 24 hours. He was like, I can do that day one. Ukraine is still going on, and Gaza, yeah, he did a ceasefire, but it's being violated routinely all the time.
Ukraine is still going
Israel.
On. Yeah, of course it's Israel. What?
Who else?
But guys, it's the most moral army in the world. Yeah.
That's so cute. Those are such cute talking points.
I know, right?
Dude. What even is this? Like, I'm not even... By the way, if that were actually true, that he could actually have done it and he did it, like I wouldn't even oppose that on principle, because it's not foreign interventionism in the same way as like Venezuela is.
It's not an inherent regime.
It's not the same. It's not the same. We're not trying to topple governments. We're trying to resolve conflicts, right? That's not a problem. I'm not opposed to having any foreign policy. I just don't want wars. And the way that things are going, it seems like we're gonna have.
We are funding wars, and
we're funding wars. We might even be going to war. He said, "I'm not opposed to putting boots on the ground." That means soldiers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we might be at war.
We could go to war.
The funniest part for me was when Trump was trying to threaten Iran, and the guy goes like, "Oh yeah, you're trying to. Oh yeah, we can play too." Bro, it's like, we can play. Like, what are we doing? Like,
and also, this guy's being like, "Oh, we're gonna intervene on behalf of protesters. They're domestic protesters. Why are we What is this?
What are you doing?
What is this? Why is that? Look,
there were protests all across different countries. There were protests when. What's that girl's name that the feminists kept yapping about?
I don't know what her name is.
Was it like Mahsa or something like that?
That
Mahsa, I think. Something to that effect.
I don't know.
That the feminists kept yapping about. They were like, "Oh, because of this, this proves that X, Y, and Z, and all that kind of stuff." And there were protests all around the country because of that. There are protests everywhere. Everywhere because of that. And what did the U.S. do? Not a thing, because it was not relevant to us.
Not a problem.
And also because we kind of had Biden in the office, and, bro,
was that in 2019 or was that in 2020?
No, it was in 2023, I think, when it happened. 2022, yeah.
Yeah, okay, then we did have him in office. But, this is absurd, and people keep justifying. And people on the right, by the way, these are not even liberals. These people on the right who are diehard Trump supporters, Trump fans, literally will do anything that he does, and they'll give their support to it and they'll co-sign it. These guys are like, "Oh well, he was a brutal communist dictator, and we should be in the business of toppling dictatorships." It's like, okay, this is retarded.
No, we shouldn't.
No, we shouldn't. Not because dictatorships are good or whatever straw man these guys want to put up. It's because we don't have the resources, the manpower, or even the moral justification to be toppling dictatorships across the world. We are not world police. And that was actually what this movement was built on. The idea that, yeah, actually, we're not world police. We have our own country to take care of. We can't be doing
There are
wars.
problems in our own country
A ton, by the way.
Yeah, there are so
That
many
has not been
problems.
addressed.
From any angle, whether it be in the legal system, in the criminal justice system, in
The economy.
in the economy,
Which
in
is
immigration.
a big thing he ran on. Yeah.
Right. In immigration, in all of those things, there's
in
massive
a lot of
problems.
social issues.
Yeah, yeah, that too. There's so many problems in our country that have not been given like a second glance almost. And yet, Israel waves his hand up in the sky and says, "Hey, drop me some baklava on a plane." Netanyahu calls Trump at 3 a.m. Hey, drop me some Israeli cakes on the plane. Trump is going to prioritize that more than he's going to prioritize the Maduro mission. Like, what are we doing here, bro?
Dude, what is
this? By the way, before you go, what's that? What's the name of that one guy that was like, every time I touch Netanyahu, I touch my children? What's that? What was that one delulu?
That guy's name is Randy Fine. It's a representative from, unfortunately, Florida. Unfortunately, you guys are stuck with that guy.
I'm crying.
Oh, I'd be crying too. I'm sorry. Look, that guy is insane. That guy is morally compromised, bro. Because he was on Twitter. Somebody sent him a pic of a dead baby, and he's like, "Thanks for the pic, lol," or something like that.
What the hell? Oh my gosh, disgusting! Wow,
this is absolute freak. Like, even the Zionists don't like that guy, which is saying a lot. Because those guys are pretty morally compromised.
Why don't they like him? What did he do?
They don't like him because of how far he takes that. Because of how shameless he is on that particular thing. Like,
because Rabbi Shmuley said, like, I also mourn when Palestinian children are killed. Yeah, clearly not.
Yeah,
but that's the picture that
they try to put up.
Point.
They try to put up a front that they care about that. But that Fine guy does not. And so that's why they're like, whoa, bro, you're going a little bit too far.
What is he, a congressman? Is he Senate member? House member? What is he?
House member.
Oh, my gosh.
Ugh.
Oof, at least he's not a senator.
Oh, yeah, thank God. Well, I mean, we do have Lindsey Graham.
Who's we?
We do.
Oh, you guys?
The U.S. Senate. We have Lindsey Graham in our Senate.
Who the hell's Lindsey Graham?
Oh, that guy's a similar guy to Randy Fine.
There's a guy named Lindsey? I'm sorry?
Yeah, there's a guy named Lindsey.
Is he a tranny?
Nope.
No. Okay. Okay.
Senate
what is
Republican.
What does he do? He's a Republican? Okay, what does he do?
What he does is basically argue for the reason, the quote reason why we should continue fighting on the behalf of Israel. He's like one of the first people to come out and be like, this was a great job. Good job bombing Iran. Good job bombing Venezuela. Regime change for all these places. Like, it's that kind of person.
Yeah, okay.
Part of that, sect of the right wing that we were supposed to have gotten rid of, and now Trump is just one of them.
Yep. Trump just loves Israel. I don't know why these guys love Israel so much. What did Israel? What is Israel doing?
What does Israel provide to the United States?
Yeah, what does Israel provide?
Be honest with ourselves. Well, supporting them causes terror attacks on our soil. Because, they don't like that we're supporting
a genocidal
state. A genocidal state. But even before that, like, they were trying to do land grabs. They had they had kept Gaza and the West Bank like pretty brutally repressed for decades at this point, and our support for that, um, it didn't win us many friends across the Middle East, as you can probably imagine.
Yeah, obviously. You know something interesting. Uh, in the early days, right? In the early months, like October, November, December, when a lot of people were pro-Israel position, even you were like more so on the
Even I
pro-Israel
was
position.
kind of sympathetic to that. Yeah.
I was not on the pro-Israel position. I learned something from one of the Muslim Dawah channels. It's called EF Dawah. I think you know. I think Fendi knows what it is because I think you watched at least one of their forums. Uh, EF Dawah said that the Christians in Palestine are canceling their celebrations. Or sorry, no, the Christians in Bethlehem, I think is what you said. They said are canceling their celebrations to support the Palestinians. So it's not even about it being a Muslim. Christians are dying to Israel.
Yep. I mean, they bombed
you see that
churches.
one where the Christian goes to Israel?
Yeah.
Bro, that video was too funny. The Christian goes to Israel and gets like spit on and gets like smacked.
Because they're not, you know, huge Christian fans. They're not fans of Christianity or Arabs, for that matter.
A lot of them aren't even religious. That's the thing. Israel is not even.
It's not even a religious
state. It's not doesn't apply Jewish law. It may have some Jewish courts, but like generally, it's not a Jewish state. Like you could say, like Saudi is a Muslim state.
It's
generally, it doesn't apply generally. Yeah,
it does not derive its governing principles from religion.
Yeah, it doesn't. So a lot of those guys are probably not even religious. A lot of them. I
would say probably most of them.
Yeah, probably most of them.
And just so like anybody who's on the right and still is like, oh, I support them generally, the country, the state of Israel. Just be aware, and I recently found this out, that they have taxpayer-funded abortions in Israel. So they consider abortion health care, and because they have socialized health care, meaning that the taxpayers fund health care and so it's free for people, yeah, see, they're just doing free child murder over there. So just like consider that before you start like mouthing off about how great Israel is and how they're an ally of Western civilization. No, actually they're not, because Western civilization comes out of Christianity. Traditional Christianity, traditional Catholicism, that is not an ally of Western civilization. Taxpayer subsidized abortions are not compatible with Western civilization. Genocide is not compatible with Western civilization. Trying to do the Greater Israel Project, where they take like a ton of Middle Eastern lands, so part of Lebanon, Gaza, the West Bank, other places. It depends on how fanatical whoever you're asking about this is. Like, that's not compatible with Western civilization. That's not Christian. There's no reason to give your support to this.
There are two good books on this subject.
Yes.
There is the Israel Lobby, and there is the Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. Both of them are on Bookshare.
The Israel Lobby and U.S. Foreign Policy by John Mearsheimer. Yes, that is a very good book. If you don't, not all of those chapters are necessarily related to the conduct of the state of Israel proper. Mostly it's about like the Israeli lobby in the United States, but there's a few chapters that talk about like how it's strategically detrimental for us to be their ally unconditionally. How there's no, because a lot of people will say there's a moral case, so there's a chapter on that. Um, there is no moral case to be supporting Israel because they don't necessarily have moral conduct. And then there's a chapter on their conduct in the war in Lebanon in
Who is that
2006, which
John,
was
guys? Is he a legalist?
who? John Mersheimer. He's a political theorist. He's a political scientist.
He's a what, sorry?
He's a political scientist.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's a really good book. And there's also the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, which is another good book. It was written, I don't know exactly who it was, but I forgot the name, but the same person who wrote that also engaged in a debate on the topic: is anti-Zionism anti-Semitism?
And if you say it is, oh.
I heard Ben Shapiro say, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free" is an anti-Semitic trope. I said, "What? What do you mean? It's an anti-Semitic trope."
Oh damn, bro! We got somebody in the chat putting thumbs up.
Oh, W, bro.
W.
Thumbs up. W, bro.
You know, like the only cope these guys have left to justify their actions is like, well,
What?
if Israel doesn't do this, and if Palestine was able to get its own self determination, they would do a genocide against the Jews. It's like so hysterical, so paranoid, ridiculous.
You know, I showed you the clip of that one rabbi, right? The one rabbi that said the exact same thing. And he said that that they will do the he said something like, if Palestine oh no, it wasn't the rabbi, I think it was Ben Shapiro that said something so stupid. He said if Palestine was to stop fighting, nothing would happen. If Israel was to stop fighting, it'd be a second Holocaust.
Yeah. Okay, buddy.
All right, buddy. Okay, buddy.
That's why there's actually, and I'm sure you guys probably don't know about this because it's deliberately like concealed, suppressed information and doesn't get presented. But there was a thing called the Arab League proposal in 2002 that, among other things, basically said that there was going to be efforts for a Palestinian state and that Hamas is going to demilitarize. And they agreed to that, by the way. Guess who didn't agree to it?
Israel.
So, yeah.
Israel.
Because these guys are always saying, oh, well, the Arabs are always an impediment to the peace process. There was a peace proposal that you guys didn't like.
I remember someone came up on Muslim Live and goes, "Free Israel," and the guy is Palestinian, so the guy simply responds with, "How do you free a nuclear power? how do you free a nuclear power?"
A nuclear power needs to be freed. What do they need to be free from?
Yeah.
They literally rule that entire region.
They do, unfortunately.
What? How are they not free? They exercise unchallenged authority over that entire freaking region.
Yeah, how are they not free? There's so if you want to get familiar, I would read those books.
Bro, you can literally find this on Wikipedia about the Arab proposal. Bro, this is hilarious.
Just do your research, my guy.
The Arab Peace Initiative, also known as the Saudi Initiative, is a 10-sentence proposal for an end to the Arab-Israeli conflict that was endorsed by the Arab League in 2002 at the Beirut Summit and re-endorsed at the 2007 and at the 2017 Arab League Summit. The initiative offers normalizations of relations by the Arab world with Israel in return for a full withdrawal by Israel from the occupied territories, including the West Bank, Gaza, and the Golan Heights, and Lebanon, with the possibility of comparable and mutual agreed minor swaps of the land between Israel and Palestine, a just settlement of the Palestinian refugee problem based on UN Resolution 194, and the establishment of a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. The Palestinian Authority immediately embraced the initiative. His successor, or somebody's successor, these are just talking about like who the leaders were, also supported the plan and officially asked U.S. President Barack Obama to adopt it as part of his Middle East policy. Initial reports indicate that Islamist political party Hamas, the elected government of the Gaza Strip, was deeply divided, while later reports indicate that Hamas accepted the peace initiative. Okay, so they accepted it. The Israeli government under Ariel Sharon rejected the initiative as a, quote, non-starter because it required Israel to withdraw to pre-June 1967 borders. So tell me again who the impediment to the peace process is?
The Arab world, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Literally, you can find this stuff on Wikipedia, my guy. What is this? What is this? How do you guys, like, say this stuff? It's not like you need to do, like, deep academic reading to figure these things out. Like, you can just go on Wikipedia and learn these things. How do you guys live with yourselves just spouting obvious lies? Oh, we have somebody in the chat. Hold on. What are your guys' opinion on Trump's Venezuelan attack? Well, I mean, I was talking about that for the majority of this, but like to summarize the TLDR of it, I'd suppose would just be I oppose that like in principle because it's another foreign intervention in a violent manner, which I oppose. The logic that is used to justify the intervention of, well, the guy was a dictator and the guy was funneling fentanyl into the United States. Well, the second proposition has no evidence. The first, I will grant, yeah, he's a communist, but is it our business to topple every single violent, repressive government in the world? Is that our business to do that now? Every time we do that, we need to celebrate it because of why? Why do we even need to do it? When all that ever does is create refugee crises, and then we have to turn around and accept them all and just add to our migration problems. Yeah, no, it's stupid. We don't need to continue doing stuff like this. And that was his entire. He was running against that 2016, even in 2024, even.
He was running against it.
He ran against all of this entire strategy of foreign policy, and unfortunately, he just is now enacting that strategy of foreign policy. And then not only is he doing that, not only is he just doing the Venezuela attack, but now he's just threatening other countries. He said, we might do a similar operation in Cuba. He said we're going to do a similar operation in Iran if they kill protesters, because for some reason we care about what they do with their protesters. And that's an American problem that needs America to solve it.
Yeah,
He's saying we'll go to war with Venezuela and send troops to die in Venezuela, put, quote, boots on the ground.
Yeah,
That's
guys,
absurd.
because
it's an absurdity.
America should solve all of the foreign problems, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, no, it shouldn't.
This person says, do you think it's really about the oil? Oh, yeah, so I think an element of this that I didn't mention is that it seems to be credible evidence. There seems to be credible evidence that the reason we're doing this is to seize their oil supply. Um, I don't know. Um, this was kind of the same playbook with Iraq, where a lot of the people who opposed it said it was like about seizing oil. I actually don't think it was about oil in that case. I think there's pretty strong evidence to suggest that that was a war fought basically at the behest of Israel, because of course we always are doing stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
of course, it's a war
and
fought at the best of Israel.
and suspiciously, and this might be related, this might not be, but it seems like Maduro was not exactly a Zionist fan. He was not. He was not exactly a Zionist. Uh, So, and then, by the way, immediately after the attack came out, the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, he came out and like congratulated the United States for the attack. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Suspicious.
A lot of the Latin American presidents and government officials are not Zionist fans, actually. There was president of Colombia who spoke out against Zionism. I don't think the president of El Salvador was a Zionist fan. There's a lot of presidents and there's a lot of government officials in Latin American countries that are speaking out against Zionism.
Yeah. So I don't know. It could be about the oil. That's what is coming out, even of the government. Like the government is saying we're going to seize their oil supply. It could be about that. It also could be another war fought on the behest of Israel. As always, I don't really know. Not sure which is more like. It's probably both, to be honest. Like they're not mutually exclusive. I heard Maduro went to court today. Do you know what they charged him with? Actually, I know one of the charges. And this is so stupid. Get ready for this. They're charging him with weapons possession in violation of a 1934 law.
Okay, wow. All right.
How stupid is this?
Does he have a legal team or does he have a public defender here?
He probably has a legal team. If he has a public defender, it's not even fair.
That's just sad.
But like, how dumb is it that we take a foreign leader, we essentially kidnap him and fly him out of his country, and then we try him under U.S. weapon possession law.
He's
not a United States national.
He's not a Chapo, buddy. He's not a Chapo. And the only reason a Chapo got actually expedited to the United States is because, for one, the Mexican authorities looked terrible because they couldn't keep him contained. He was always escaping or on the run. And for two, because of the U.S., how the U.S. was affected by it. So the U.S. was like, you know what? Screw it. We're rushing his extradition process. And bro got seized and taken to the U.S., tried and sentenced in Colorado. So, man, okay.
You know what? I'm actually going to look up what the charges are, because I only know one of them. There's 4.
There's 4?
Yep.
I wonder if he has a legal... because he went to court today, but if the jury... Wait, are they doing a jury trial? I'm sure they are. How is the jury selected that quick? Or it's probably a preliminary. Okay, it's maybe preliminary. Okay, never mind. It's a preliminary. Oh my gosh. Yo, that hearing's gonna take forever, bro. Jury selections and... Oh. I would hate to work that case, bro.
I think I found the relevant DOJ thing.
Bro, I would hate to be a lawyer for that case, bro. Jury selections, voir dire, gag orders. Oh, F off with that. With all that, bro.
Pleaded not guilty to federal drug trafficking and other charges. Yeah, but I'm trying to see what they actually are.
Other charges. There's a book called In Defense of Israel.
By Dershowitz, yeah.
Is that guy an ethnic Jew?
Yeah.
Yeah, that name, bro, Dershowitz. There's a scholar named Eon Dershowitz. I think he might be Jewish too. But he's cool. He's cooler than the Dershowitz that wrote that. He's an OT scholar, textual critic. Let's see.
They don't actually show this. What the heck?
When was In Defense of Israel written?
2006.
Oh, it probably has something about the Arab peace proposal in there. Does it have good arguments? Have you read it?
I know the arguments because they're basically just I haven't like formally sat down and read it, but I know what the arguments are because they're the ones that are circulated all the time. Like it's just the myth of their so-called like benevolent founding, meaning that there was nothing immoral about the founding of the state of Israel and how they got their land. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. No, of course.
Okay, it says what's in the U.S. criminal indictment. I think I found it. It's from the Guardian.
The Guardian.
The Guardian.
If I work as a security guard of a Samsung store, am I the guardian of the galaxy?
Cute.
No, bro, you gotta say, you done?
Okay, so it says the U.S. complaint against Maduro and wife Celia Flores is likely to be challenged in federal court in the New York. What did it say in the New York?
In the New York.
On Monday over whether, as a foreign head of state, he can be put on trial in the U.S. Yeah, that's kind of stupid, don't you think?
Wait.
That's
so
kind of dumb.
Are they actually gonna argue that?
They're gonna argue that because he's a foreign head of state, and I agree with this argument, by the way, because he's a foreign head of state,
too.
like
I just hope Maduro
you can't try him. How are you gonna fight that? Because yeah, obviously he's a foreign head of state. He's not subject to the U.S. law. He's subject to the law of his own nation.
Yo, are you down to do a review of the oral arguments as they come out?
Sure.
Because here's the thing, right? That's a good argument. That's a very good argument from a legal perspective. I just hope that Maduro doesn't have a crappy lawyer so that the guy who's litigating for him is actually good. Because if he's crappy, he's not going to win that argument. If he's good, he will win. But I'm glad they're arguing that before trial even begins, though. That's good.
Okay, so it says the charges include narco-terrorism conspiracy.
Narco-terrorism conspiracy?
Cocaine importation conspiracy. Possession. This is retarded. This is really, really stupid. This one right here. Possession of. This is the one I was talking about. Possession of machine guns and destructive devices. And conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. What is this? What are we doing?
They charged him with conspiracy.
What are we doing here, man? What is this?
They got him for conspiracy. They didn't get him for drug charges. They got him for conspiracy.
Yep. Conspiracy and possessing machine guns.
And destructive devices.
This is so dumb. Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this, bro? What?
This guy says Trump did all that without Congress approval, right? Could he face consequences? So this is an interesting question because
that's a good question.
All of this is not constitutional, by the way. But at this stage of the country, the Constitution is effectively dead. And this is a controversial claim I'm going to make, but I would probably say it's been dead since the Civil War ended. But it's absolutely dead now.
I haven't lost faith. What is it? I haven't had faith in this document since Vettel came out. By the way, I'm opting with Engel. By the way, just to let you guys know, I'm opting with Engel.
Same. He's an idiot. So, but the question is, can he face consequences via Congress? Some people want him to. There's Republicans actually in Congress who want him to, like there's a small minority of them. It's like a handful who think that this was a problem, who think that he should face consequences for this. But,
because I don't know if he has the ability to do this under Article 2 of the Constitution. Obviously, aside from your point, I'm discussing like the legal framework here. I don't know if he's able to do that under Article 2. I don't think he is. Because I think Article 1, Section 8 says that Congress is who declares war.
Here's the thing about like bringing him to justice over this stuff is like pretty much every single president for the last 20 or so years has done these kinds of bombing operations.
Oh yeah, I mean look at Bush when he got off.
So like it would kind of be hypocritical if we all of a sudden started doing this. Now, in principle, like I think all of these people should face some kind of like constitutional violation case for doing this stuff, because like bombing a capital city of another country is, I think everybody can agree, like an act of war. It's literally just an act of war.
Of course.
The official, doctrine here is that Congress needs to approve acts of war. Congress did not approve this act of war, but Congress hasn't needed to approve acts of war for decades. So, I'm sure legalists are going to have fun with that one. I don't know if that at this stage is going to happen. I don't even know if it can. That's the short answer.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm down to see the oral arguments though. If they do come out, which I think they might.
Conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices is just insane.
Conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. I mean, hey, at least it doesn't have public defenders over. Just take the plea deal, man. No, do not take the plea deal. He has a good chance of getting acquitted off this one pretrial motion. He really does. There's a very good chance.
Honestly, what might happen is that he's just going to get found guilty. Like, this is probably going to be a show trial.
Yeah.
That's probably what it's going to be. They're going to find him guilty and they're going to imprison him for life or kill him or something. Let's just be honest. Like, they're not gonna do all of this just to have him acquitted. There's no way. Because if he got acquitted, all of this would be for no reason.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, well, maybe it depends on the judge that's viewing this case, but generally speaking, he might get acquitted if they can argue properly.
If his legal team locks in.
Yeah, if his legal team locks in, they could. And do you think theoretically the Supreme Court would take this case if it got to them by virtue of an appeal?
Yeah, maybe.
You think they would take it? I think they
probably would take it.
I think they might take it.
Because they don't always hand Trump what he wants.
They don't.
And sometimes it's actually frustrating because like one of the other things he was supposed to do is send National Guard to a bunch of cities, and
why and how did they disallow that?
I don't know. They were challenging DC, the deployment to DC, which like there is no challenge to that. That is a federal
challenge could you present? I guess under Article 2, they're oh my gosh.
Maybe.
It's all about Article 2, chat.
The Supreme Court sided with with the petitioners. So
Who were the petitioners there?
the 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 people who were pushing to stop
Okay,
the
okay,
deployment.
okay. I got you. And the Supreme Court does not always hand him what he wants. So if the
No.
argument is good, they might acquit. And even if they do acquit him, you think Trump is gonna send him back to Venezuela? Probably not.
Hell no.
Even though he might not have a
Why would
choice
he do that?
even though he
Why
might
would
not have
he
a
even do
choice in
that?
the matter. He might not, because if he's the head of state and you're trying him, what the hell are you doing? You're gonna let him go?
Well,
What is he gonna do? He's gonna roam the streets? What are you doing? Can't detain him. What are you gonna detain him for?
Yeah. And they try to get around that by saying, well, the United States doesn't see him as a legitimate leader, head of state. It's like
That doesn't matter one
really
bit.
matter. Like you're still charging a foreigner that's not even a citizen of your country with with
jurisdiction.
So, I mean, it's still stupid.
Hello, jurisdiction.
Yeah.
I guess we don't know what that is anymore.
I'm gonna actually figure out who this guy is because this guy's asking good questions in the chat. Do I know you or are you new? I guess I'll figure it out. But
someday.
Yeah, guys. That's the state of the movement. That's why.
I remember that's the state of the world.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, it is, but
it's the state of the world.
It is the state of the world, unfortunately.
Yeah. What's the username of the guy asking?
It's I can see it. It's at Jane Doe 226 RN.
RN. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I'm not sure who that is, but I think it might be someone that I do know. I'm looking at the channel right now.
At Matt the Awesome Guy.
At Matt the Awesome Guy. Is that even his at?
I don't know. I was just saying, I don't know if that might be. Oh yeah, so what were you saying about Israel having what about abortions in Israel?
Oh, okay. So what I was saying is that to the Israel right-wing supporters who think that there's some kind of ally of Christianity or something, Western civilization, they have socialized health care, which means that the state funds it through the taxpayers. And part of their health care, part of the thing they include in there is abortion. So citizens can get free abortions.
Oh man,
So,
the thing is
free
that
child murder.
I think that Israel has more abortions than the U.S. does.
I don't know about that particular statistic, but I do know for a fact that they consider abortion to be healthcare, which is not the case.
Of course not.
It's murder, plain and simple. And also,
obviously,
it's free. The taxpayers fund it.
So wait. So our funds and the funds of people who donate to this particular organization.
Well, it's possible that some U.S. funds might go to that, but their citizens fund them. The Israeli taxpayers fund abortions in their country.
That's awful.
I know. And this is supposed to be some kind of ally of Christian civilization?
How are you saying it's an ally of bro, go proselytize Christianity in Israel. Go proselytize Christianity in Israel. See what
Yeah.
happens to you after you proselytize it. They don't like it.
No, they don't like it because they don't like Christianity at all.
No, they don't like Christians. They don't like Christianity. They don't like Arabs. They don't like any of that. And it's not, look, it's not even because it's a Jewish state. It's not even because it upholds Judaism or rabbinic Judaism. It's just because those guys are just, they just don't like it.
No, they don't.
You know what's so funny is so many Zionists will be like, yeah, this, what is it? This land was promised to us thousands of years ago.
Dude.
And I just be like, you believe in God? Oh, no? Why are you running this argument then? What? You just they just believe in it because it's conventional. Like, they don't actually affirm.
So dumb. This person says, well, if he's found not guilty, doesn't he have to send him back? Well, here's the thing. This has been a battle between the executive and the judiciary that has been raging for several months now. And usually I'm actually on his side. Because they kept doing things like blocking who he could fire from the federal government and telling him he needed to turn deportation planes around and like stupid things that federal judges have no say over and that the executive gets say over, like where the military gets deployed and stuff, you know? So usually I'm on his side, and usually my response when they tell him like don't do these actions is don't listen to them. They're full of it. They're dumb. And they have no authority to tell you what to do in these particular circumstances. And I honestly, like, despite how much I disagree with this entire thing, this is going to be like the ultimate stress test of whether or not he listens to the judges or not. Because if the judges and even the Supreme Court says, well, actually, you need to send him back right now, he's not going to do it. And I know he's not going to do it because it's going to make him look like an absolute idiot. And it's going to make his operation be literally for nothing. And it's going to have wasted resources, wasted bombers, wasted everything. And so what's probably going to happen, this is my prediction, is that if they tell him, unlikely, but if they tell him he needs to send him back, he's not going to do it, and he probably shouldn't. So it depends on what you mean by has to. Because if by has to you mean like someone's going to force him, no, because the executive acts as the enforcer of the legislature and the judiciary. And if the executive disagrees, that means your enforcement arm disagrees with you. And if your enforcement arm disagrees with you, there's not anything you can do about it.
I mean, SC could force him. They could. I don't think they will, but they could.
I don't know, like, who has the authority to force him to do it?
Like,
actually force him. Well, they're part of the judicial branch. And the executive is supposed to enforce the decision of the Supreme Court. And most of the time they actually have listened to them. But I think in this particular circumstance, they actually won't. Because it's going to destroy all the plans that he had for this.
Yeah, I agree. But in theory, I don't think it'll work in practice. But in theory, SC can say you're not going to do this anymore. And,
SC can say it, but like, so the short answer here is, in theory, yeah, he does have to, because he has to follow what the court says. In practice, no, he actually won't, most likely.
Most likely he won't, yeah.
He will not. And like, there have been instances where the Supreme Court has ruled on his cases, and I've been like, bro, like, come on. This is a silly ruling. There's no reason why he should have to listen to this. And in this particular circumstance, that would probably be a similar conclusion that I would draw. This person says that's not healthcare. Yeah.
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 We agree.
We agree with that. Now it's really funny that like the one time that he probably would defy the courts isn't even to do something that would be beneficial for the country. It's to do something to safeguard his foreign policy.
Yep.
That's
So the
just like
one.
that's just who he has become now. He's just a total like. I actually put this out. I think I put this out on like New Year's Eve on my Twitter, and I said something to the effect of, "Can we all agree that um, if Trump takes us to war with Iran or with any other country for that matter, that he's just a total sellout to America?" And it only took like 2 days. It only took like 2 days
Oh.
for him to be officially a sellout to America. Come on, man. What is this?
Oh man. What's going on
What are
here?
we doing? What is this, man? And that's why I say that the MAGA movement is dead. Because the only people who think it's cool are like billionaires, Zionists, people who counter signaled, people who used to be, and this is the biggest indicator that the movement is dead, by the way, because people who used to be what's called never Trumpers, that's like people who,
Never Trumpers.
yeah, that's what they call themselves. They call themselves never Trumpers. Okay, they're quite stupid.
Never Trumpers.
And the never Trumpers are a coalition of like Bush era Republicans
Okay.
who oppose
Okay.
Trump because of his policies, his foreign and domestic policies that contradicted with their own vision of how they saw things. So people like Ben Shapiro actually used to be one of those never Trumpers, and now people like Ben Shapiro are the biggest Trump supporters there are. That's a pretty good indicator that he's flipped.
Because Trump is the biggest Israel supporter there is, because he's killing people and starting wars on the behest of this government that does nothing for us. Absolutely nothing. And kills babies.
Yeah, and kills babies in more ways than one, by the way, which is just astonishing to say. Like, they kill babies through taxpayer-funded abortions, and they kill babies, like, literally just through bombing.
Yep.
They bomb the Gaza Strip and bomb people's houses and bomb freaking everything.
Yeah, it's disgusting what they do. Like, here, there are videos that I'm not gonna like ask you to play them, because they
all get taken down.
Well,
and
forget,
also because it's horrific.
Forget you'll be taken. Well, I don't. Well, there won't be any footage in the videos. Well, but like generally, there was a 6-year-old girl. I think I told you this story. She called the Red Cross. I think it was Palestinian Red Cross Society. She called the emergency number, and she said that her family was dead. That was shot up by an Israeli army vehicle, and she was stuck with the dead bodies of all of her family, and they sent an ambulance unit to go get her, and the Israelis blew that up too.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
they always do that.
You
and
can
now,
hear
and now, for people who
hear
still don't want to accept the idea that it's a genocide, just ask yourself, what do you call it when the aggressor, who is bombing the hell out of places and just turning the place they're trying to occupy and destroy into a pile of rubble? What do you call it? Not only when they do that, but also when they suspend all of the aid organizations that are trying to provide medical assistance to the people who have been suffering because of bombs and other such things. What do you call that?
Bro, I don't know. And I have one simple question. Oh, I think I gotta go eat soon. But anyways, one simple question. What else do they have to do
What
for you to
else do they
consider the
have to do? And
genocide.
I'll even pull up the anti-war thing again. I'll pull up that story. I can probably easily find it. They suspend aid, and then the reason they give for suspending aid is because they say that the people who are providing medical aid are
I gotta go eat. But if the stream's still
Okay.
gonna be back by then, but
All right.
yeah, take care. Let's go.
Yeah, see you then. So the reason that they are suspending aid is because they're saying that the medical personnel are either terrorists themselves or supplying terrorists or helping them in some way, which is just absurd. And there's like the only evidence we have for this is Israel's word. Independent investigations have not confirmed this. I think they've disproven this several times. This person says New Testament never said anything about Israel still being the promised land. Yeah, because Israel is not even. This is like people who say that it is the promised land are kind of operating on a deficient theology where they assume that the land was promised to them unconditionally, even in the Old Testament, when this is actually not the case. Because if you go to passages like Deuteronomy 28, that whole chapter of Deuteronomy is about how if they keep their end of the deal, then they will be able to keep the land. But if they don't, it goes on to list a number of curses that they're going to have to face if they start doing things like idolatry. And it gets pretty bad. And one of those curses is that they're going to be dispossessed of that land. So in other words, what that means is that it's conditional based on how faithful they are to the promises, how faithful they are to the commandments of God. They're not faithful to the commandments of God. They haven't been faithful to the commandments of God if you're a Christian, and from our perspective, they haven't been faithful to the commandments of God for basically 2,000 years, ever since Christ was crucified, and they refuse to follow him. So this idea that like they're just entitled to a piece of land in the Middle East unconditionally isn't even supported by any biblical evidence. And as a matter of fact, if you move to the New Testament, if you go to places like Romans 11, you have such great saints as St. Paul, who everyone accepts. All different denominations. Everyone loves St. Paul. Everyone loves the letters of St. Paul. And he himself says that it's conditional. So, this person says, if he didn't, wouldn't that majorly tarnish his reputation anyway? If you're talking about Trump, his reputation has already been tarnished beyond belief. There's very little he can do to recover it at this point. It's already basically destroyed. He can't make it worse. So, yeah, it will just add more problems with his reputation. It will further tarnish his reputation, but it's not gonna like completely destroy it. His reputation is basically destroyed, and it's a shame too because he started with like such good policies, there was a lot of optimism around him coming back, and like that didn't necessarily go through the way we wanted it to. Things like the government of or the department rather of government efficiency that didn't do what it was supposed to do. Even though it was a really good idea, it was one of the best ideas that actually this entire administration had. It was to cut government waste, cut government spending. The only real purpose that it served is to show us just how absurd the things we're funding really are that we pay for. But not much was done to actually stop covering all those expenses. So it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. We had high hopes, we had high expectations. He ran on a lot of good ideas, and he's just become one of those Bush era neocons. And you can tell just based on the people who support him at this point. So let's go to antiwar.com. Let's go back there. Go back to antiwar.com. Viewpoint. I'm looking for the story about the Israelis suspending aid. Ron Paul's on here. Ron Paul's awesome. Let's go find this. Here's more Israel stuff. Let's go back. Trump's war in Latin America. No, I'm not looking for that. Okay, found it. Let's go. All right. So it says, quote, the headline says, once again, the New York Times sells Israel's genocide in Gaza as law enforcement. Israel is expelling 37 aid groups, a likely death sentence for hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. But the Times speaks only of new rules in Gaza and suspensions for those who resist. Registration. This is another masterclass from the New York Times in how to sell genocide as law enforcement. According to today's headline, new Israeli rules mean suspension of aid groups from Gaza. That is, the forced expulsion of 37 humanitarian organizations from Palestinian territory illegally occupied by Israel. These aid groups organize most of the field hospitals currently operating in Gaza and set up after Israel destroyed the enclave's proper hospitals. The groups also run emergency shelters, water and sanitation services, and treatment centers for children with acute malnutrition. Israel's registration rules are a death sentence for a homeless, destitute population left vulnerable to starvation, floods, winter cold, and disease by Israel's 2-year destruction of their homeland. Who is to blame? Apparently, groups like Doctors Without Borders, Medical Aid for Palestinians, and CARE. Why? Because they are resisting Israel's rules to provide detailed information on their staff in Gaza, information Israel has used time and time again to kill those aid workers. As Doctors Without Borders point out, we support 1 in 5 hospital beds and 1 in 3 births in Gaza. Israel, it added, was cutting off life-saving medical assistance for hundreds of thousands of people. Another organization affected by the new rules, the Norwegian Refugee Council, noted that Israel had killed hundreds of aid workers in the past 2 years. For us, it is a safety concern for our staff and acknowledging who they are. It puts them at risk. The New York Times wants you to forget who is the criminal here. It is Israel that is illegally occupying Gaza and other Palestinian territories and has been for decades. It is Israel that has bombed Gaza into the Stone Age. It is Israel that has ethnically cleansed Gaza's people from their lands, driving them into ever smaller concentration camps on those ruins, surrounded by Israel's yellow line. It is Israel that has starved the people of Gaza for months on end by blocking all aid. It is Israel that has killed at least 600 aid workers, 1,700 medical staff, and 250 journalists in Gaza over the past 2 years. It is Israel that has eradicated all of Gaza's hospitals and healthcare facilities, leaving its maimed and starved population vulnerable to infection and disease. And it is Israel now expelling aid organizations vital to keep this homeless, bombed, maimed, starved, orphaned, traumatized population alive. Criminals don't get to set the rules because the rules they set will, by definition, serve their criminal agenda. Israel has not hidden that agenda. It wants to eradicate Gaza and its population. It has destroyed the people of Gaza's homes and the infrastructure they need to survive, from hospitals and schools to sanitation services. It has blocked aid and food. It now is driving out the emergency aid organizations that served as a sticking plaster to keep this population just barely alive. Israel's goal is to make life so desperate, so impossible, that the rest of the world will consent to the expulsion of the Palestinian people from Gaza on humanitarian grounds. The New York Times, like the rest of the media, are using language to persuade you that none of this is happening before the crimes were justified as war, one to eradicate Hamas. Now, during a supposed ceasefire in which Israel keeps killing Palestinians, the crimes are justified as a new, different way of ordering affairs in Gaza. Apparently, supposedly needed to root out Hamas. The aid organizations are apparently the ones causing difficulties by resisting, by flouting the rules. This is the language of genocide laundering, of genocide denial. It has a long and ugly history. So it just keeps going. Talks about Nazism and like the terminology that they would use. It ends by saying this terminology of good administration, of rules, of order, of suspensions, of resettlement is needed to numb us of the barbarous reality of the horrors unfolding minute by minute in Gaza. To echo this anesthetizing language, as the New York Times does time and time again, is more than just a crime against journalism, it is a crime against our common humanity. Without the assistance of media like the New York Times, the genocide would have been simply impossible. So that's where the article ends. Now, admittedly, this is an opinion piece, but it is operating on solid facts. Um, it has indeed bombed. Israel has indeed bombed all of the healthcare facilities, sanitation, etc. They are expelling aid groups because they say that they're terrorists. Um, that is happening, and that's just his conclusion that he draws from the available facts, which I think are valid conclusions. By the way, like for anybody who still wants to defend this stuff, I don't know, like what do you call this? Um. So yeah, that was another piece on antiwar.com. Excellent resource, great libertarian site. Um, I recommend you use that to to keep up with current events if you are so inclined. Let's see. Do we have any chat? No, not since the reputation one. But yeah, that reputation point, like it's been destroyed for this and many other reasons too. Because like there was the Iran bombing, there was the Epstein stuff, which is a whole nother thing that I suppose I could talk about if there's any interest around it. But the bottom line and just like the overall thesis of this stream is that the movement is dead. The MAGA movement is dead. You may have noticed that on the channel I've been sharing a lot of Nick Fuentes clips. That's because I think that his movement is, at this point, just like a better alternative to what the mainstream Republican Party is doing, the things they're justifying. And I think that Nick is right to say that, like, we're not going to be backing the Republican Party anymore because I, for one, have no plans to back them in the midterms. I have no plans to back them in 2028. I have no plans to back them for the foreseeable future unless they, seriously reform. And I don't really think that's going to happen because both sort of sects of the Republican Party that are in control are not good. They're basically indistinguishable from each other. It's the Bush era, and then it's the Bush era Republicans, and then it's like Trump and Vance, who campaigned to do things much differently but didn't. And now JD Vance is in a sticky situation because he has to somehow defend what this administration has done and continues to do, and also distance himself from it because no Republican voter under the age of like 50 wants to support this. No one likes this. And that's why we're not supporting this, and that's why I have no plans to support these guys in the future. The people who go on about like, oh, well, it's the lesser of two evils, only barely. Let's be honest. Like, it would be. I agree that it is the lesser of two evils. I do think the Democrats are worse objectively, but only barely. Like, I don't really see that much of a difference. I don't see why I should vote for it. So, that's just my thoughts on this whole situation. Whatever you guys think about this, I just kind of wanted to get on a stream and do something like this because I think the format was the best for it. I could have done like a planned video, but honestly, I think that a stream format was just better for the whole situation when we got to several important topics. So, leave your thoughts in the chat or the comments or wherever. I'm just gonna go on like anti-war or something, and then see what other stories we can find on this whole Venezuela thing. Antiwar.com. Okay, so we have a lot of Israel stuff. Israeli forces kill 3 in Gaza. Israeli officials threaten Iran attack. Venezuela's new leader seeks cooperation with the U.S. Trump, oh my gosh, bro. Here we have more wars. Quote, Trump threatens, stop lagging, okay. Trump threatens Colombia's Petro, says Cuba looks ready to fall. United States President Donald Trump has threatened military action against his Colombian counterpart Gustavo Petro following Washington's abduction of Venezuela's leader, and said that he believed the government in Cuba too was likely to fall soon. Trump's comments on Sunday came amid growing outcry over the brazen abduction of Nicolas Maduro, with Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Mexico, Uruguay, and Spain condemning the U.S. action as a dangerous precedent for peace and regional security. Trump told reporters on board Air Force One that Venezuela and Colombia were very sick and that the government in Bogota was run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you, Trump said, referring to Petro. When asked if he meant a U.S. operation against Colombia, Trump said, "Sounds good to me." So now we're just high on success on our last regime change operation, and we think we can just rule the entire continent. And we think we can just do regime changes everywhere. Yay! America first, guys. Yay. Awesome. And this person says, and this is all being funded by the good old US of A. Yeah, but the problem is it's not even like the government is some nebulous entity that we don't know where their funding comes from. We fund this. We are the ones that have our money taken and stolen to use for this kind of stuff. So, yeah, what happened to reducing government spending and no new wars? We're doing both at the same time, which is absurd. Absurd. Man. So yeah, we did one successful operation, and I'll give him credit that like the operation on from a logistics perspective, from a strategic perspective, was very good. It was very impressive. That said, I oppose it in principle. Like, there's no reason we should be doing stuff like this. Man. So now we threaten Colombia. We're going to do regime change in Colombia, regime change in Venezuela, Cuba. Screw it. Why not just the entire Latin American region? Come on, man. And what's gross is that there are right wingers that cheer this on. When if it had been the policy of the Democrats, and it used to be to a more tame level, to a more tame degree, if it had been the policy of the Democrats, they would denounce it and call it a like neocon Bush era unnecessary foreign intervention, all that and the rest. And they'd be correct to do it, but because it's Trump and these guys have like a cult around him, because it's him, they just support it. And like the only people who support it are diehard Trump supporters who support anything he does, no matter what it is, and foreigners sometimes, and that's debatable. Foreigners support it, but even if they did, that's a sign that we're doing the wrong thing. So, yep, here we are. This is where we're at. This is what we do. We think we can just do like regional conquest, regional regime change, basically across the entirety of Latin America, because we did it once and we succeeded. And that's why we should have never done it to begin with, because it leads to this entire attitude. Like, Bush had victories in Iraq and then thought he could expand and do it to everywhere else. This isn't very different. New chat. I'm not sure who you're referring to when you say he is more extreme. If you could clarify who you're talking about. If you could clarify who you're talking about, that would be great. Let's go ahead and wait until you do that. But I mean, if you want to talk about like extremism, I am basically like me. This channel, we on this channel are more extreme, more right wing, further to the right than Trump himself, and that's been the case for a long time. It's been the case for basically the entirety of Trump's campaign, at least in my case. I was further to the right than Trump. I've been further to the right than Trump. Um, I'm definitely further to the right than Trump now. In light of all this, so I mean, I'm not sure. Number one, who you're talking about, and number two, what you even mean by extreme, because I would not characterize my opinions or the opinions of the right wing, which is probably the majority of it at this point. The opinions of the right wing that opposes us, I would not categorize it as extreme. So, not sure who you're talking about there and what you mean. How long have we been going? Oh, wow. Been going for an hour and 57 minutes, boys. Let's see what else can we find on here. Israeli minister, Gaza is ours, Palestinians are just guess. That's wild. Hold on, I have to see this. Hold up. Okay, so it says quote. Uh, Zohar, Israel's culture minister and member of the ruling Likud party, has claimed Gaza belongs to Israel and referred to the Palestinians who live there as, quote, guess who will one day leave? Zohar made these comments on Thursday when asked about his decision to cut government funding to an Israeli film award that went to the a move that depicts a Palestinian boy from the Israeli occupied West Bank being denied an entry permit to visit the beach in Israel. When pressed about why he opposed a movie that depicts the reality of the Israeli occupation, Zohar denied there was an occupation at all and claimed Israel had the right to Gaza and the West Bank, which he referred to as Judea and Samaria. Judea and Samaria are ours, Zohar said. Gaza is also ours. We're just letting them stay there as guests until a certain point. But Gaza is ours. Other Israeli officials have expressed similar sentiments. After Israel and Hamas signed a US-backed Gaza ceasefire deal, which the IDF continues to violate by launching attacks against Palestinians and conducting daily military operations, just a few days after the US-backed deal was signed, Israeli Finance Minister, I'm not sure how to say this name, vowed to there will be Jewish settlements in Gaza, so we have patience, but we have determination and faith, and with God's help, gross, gross that they're invoking God for all this absurd behavior. We will continue the series of victories and the big miracles, he said. More recently, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, apparently his last name is Katz, Katz, said the Israeli occupation of Gaza will be permanent and suggested Israel will establish a type of settlement that is established by IDF soldiers. We are deep inside Gaza and will never leave all of Gaza. That will not happen. We are here to defend and to prevent what happened, Katz said last month, with God's help when the time comes. Also in northern Gaza, we will establish Mahal pioneer groups in place of the settlements that were evacuated. So these guys just think that they have full rights to this land. These guys believe that their actions are justified. They think that they can just take everything, expel the population. You know, everything that the anti-Zionists had been saying. Person says, don't forget that Trump threatened the new leader of Venezuela if they didn't cooperate with his plans to lead Venezuela. Yeah, I covered this closer to the beginning of the stream. Yes, that happened. That was the case. It's just silly. Like, he gets one operation through, and I'll give him credit that it was well executed and it succeeded in its objective. But he gets one through, and now he thinks he can just rule the spot, the whole region, the whole Latin American region. He can threaten and then follow through on the threats for regime changes and military operations. And then he still turns around and calls himself the peace president. What is this? What are we even doing? Let's see. Person says it's probably also ego. They can't admit this is what they voted for. Well, actually, you're correct in the sense that this is the outcome of their vote, but it's not what people voted for in the sense that it's what they wanted, right? And that's why most of Trump's supporters have actually turned on him and say that he sucks now because of this, right? Like, because of this operation and the resulting consequences, it has caused any avowed Trump supporters that were even left to leave and to say, well, actually, this is not what I voted for. This is not what I wanted. We're done with this whole movement. And I'm somebody who was behind him for a few months. I was behind him during the campaign, and then I was behind him until the summer, and maybe a few months afterwards. But this, man, this is just a step. Well, not even one step, 10 steps too far. I don't even know how you. Nick Fuentes is. I would say he's further to the right. I don't necessarily think that correlates with more extreme. Because I think Nick Fuentes is advocating for policies that that should have been what Trump actually executed. I think Fuentes advocates what he calls an America First vision, and I'm behind him. I think he's actually pretty cool. I've actually watched his show. I mean, it's banned on YouTube, but it's on Rumble. I've watched it a few times. I think he makes a lot of really good points. The only real distinctions between Nick Fuentes' philosophy and like my own is that I'm more libertarian, and he isn't really like I don't think he wants to downsize the state necessarily. I think he wants to use the power of the state to accomplish our goals, which I am not necessarily opposed to because given the situation where we are right now, but where I sort of differ is that I say this is not the ideal for the state. The state should not be this powerful. We should have a smaller state with enumerated powers. Like the Constitution actually says, but the Constitution has been dead for over 100 years at this point. So suppose the Constitution doesn't really matter. Wow, I just majorly misspelled his name, but you'll get the gist. Yeah. The only real difference between Nick and I, like I said, is that he's not libertarian to my understanding, but I lean heavily in that direction. That's about it. Like, and I wouldn't call any of his views like extreme by any means. So, like, I think he says edgy stuff, but I don't think that's any reason to despise the guy and say that he should have no place and no right to speak. I am a big believer in freedom of speech, actually, if you can believe it. So, here we are, guys. So, that's about all my thoughts on this particular topic that immediately come to mind. I will most likely begin work on some more Catholicism related content soon. I have something in the works called Catholicism versus Nuclear Weapons, which is a Catholic case for abolishing nuclear weapons. I have an idea to go through the article, if there is one, I'm pretty sure there is, on Catholic Encyclopedia about the human soul and what it is. So we can properly articulate like a Catholic view of the soul. Because as fun as this political content is, I am really primarily interested in theology and Catholicism and stuff like that. This is a Catholic channel. The description says that we promote movements that are aligned with a Catholic political vision. So we should actually do that. And it says that we promote Catholic theology. We do expositions on theology and engage with opposing worldviews and things like that. And so I'm going to move in that direction because that's what the channel is supposed to be for. And hopefully you guys enjoy what comes out of that. A video that did actually pretty decently well was the narration that I did for the Syllabus of Errors by Saint Pius, or no, he's not a saint, my bad. He's Blessed Pius IX, Pope Pius IX. He's a blessed, and the Syllabus of Errors, they had a full narration that was like over half an hour, and it did pretty well. I was surprised about that. I didn't think there was really that much of a market for a video like that. But I suppose there was, which is great because I have another one. I have more planned. There's a video that I'm planning called Catholicism versus Public Education, which is an exposition on something that I didn't even know until fairly recently, which is that the Catholic Church in official magisterial documents opposes, in principle, the public education system as it exists today. I didn't know that, and so we're going to be going into that. We're going to be going into the reasons for that and present that knowledge to you guys because I didn't know, so might as well let other people know about it. So we have that in store. We have a lot of Catholicism related content that that I'm gonna do eventually. Um, and then there's some political stuff on like libertarianism, on um, secession and things like that that I've been interested in recently. That I might do some videos on in the future. Depends. Heavily depends on what my schedule looks like later, but hopefully I'm able to present this concept because I am somebody who defends secession. Um, for example, I am somebody who's pretty libertarian leaning, so hopefully I'll get to present those at some point in time. And yeah, with all that being said, that's what you guys have to look forward to at some point. And if there are nothing, or if there are no other, um, there are no other chats to address or points to be made, then I'll just go ahead and end the stream. So let's see. There's nobody in the stage, and there is no new chats after the Fuentes thing. So we'll go ahead and end this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It was impromptu, like I said. If you want to see more of it, I'll go ahead and do it. I'm totally down to do some kind of like weekly political recap or something to give thoughts on current events. So I'll see. I mean, this was less thoughts on current events and more kind of a diagnosis on the state of the MAGA movement, which is absolutely totally dead. It's just destroyed. It's gone. There's no salvaging it. We're back to like Bush era politics now. We're doing stupid regime changes. We're not addressing, and more importantly, we're not even addressing any like domestic issues. Why are we not focusing on economics? Why are we not focusing on mass deportations? We're not getting mass deportations. Where are they? Which those are very important. We're not getting those, and so because of that, not really anything that we wanted out of MAGA is coming to pass, is materializing, and because of that, unfortunately, the movement is dead, and people who hold those positions have to go elsewhere. Trump is not their guy anymore. And being that I am somebody who holds a lot of those positions, I have to withdraw any support I might have had for the president. Very unfortunate, but it's what I gotta do. This person says, it's just so crazy because he had such a good opportunity with this presidency. Yeah, I know. And everybody was so hyped. And if this is who I think it is, and message me after the stream if it's who I think it is. But like you know that I was hyped. Like I was for the presidency in January up until like March, April. I was hyped for it. I had high hopes, high expectations. I was one of those people, okay? Like there's this meme going around that says "fell for it again" award. Yeah, I fell for it, unfortunately. I did, and I'll admit it. Like I did fall for it. I think I even defended it a little bit longer than I should have. But now it's just like there's no defense. The movement is dead. Anybody with these politics needs to go elsewhere for this. So, yeah. That's the state of the MAGA movement. The MAGA movement is dead. The America First movement seems to be ascending, if not already ascendant. And unfortunately, the president sold us out again. Like Obama, like Biden, like Bush, and many others before him, and probably many others after him. So, very unfortunate, very sad state of affairs. It's not. I don't take any real joy in this, but it's just where we are, and that's just how it is. So, on to that note, everybody, I'm gonna do one last check, see if there's anything else to respond to, and then I will end the stream on that. I will end it on that note. Hopefully, if there are any, true believers, true MAGA supporters left, I hope this wasn't too difficult to listen to, but it is what it is, man. Honestly, if you're still on that train, I just feel bad for you. I'm not even going to insult you because I just feel really bad for you. Obviously not that intelligent if you're still on this. So, yeah. With that being said, everybody, it seems like there's nothing else. So, on that note, I will end the stream. God bless.